Hello guys, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'll try my best to tackle the negative comments thrown against Kingdom Hearts 3. As you may know from my figure review video, I consider myself a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Not a hardcore one, but above the average one. The idea came to me when a friend of mine was reading reviews about it online. Some had some fair arguments, but others were point-blank ridiculous. So without further ado, let's jump into it. For the sake of not repeating myself over and over, I grouped the arguments together into several categories. 1. This game took 14 years. People tend to repeat how Kingdom Hearts 2 was released back in 2005. However, they don't refer to titles like Birth by Sleep, released in 2010, or Dream Drop Distance, released in 2012. These games add a lot to the story lore. Keep in mind how there are other titles released in between those as well, such as Recoded, Days, and others. Officially, Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced in 2013 with a trailer to show that they were working on it. The game was released early in January of 2019. So why did it take 6 years for them? To my understanding, there are two main reasons. First, the obvious game engine change. For those unaware, for 3 years the game was being created in SquareEnix engine Luminous, the engine behind Final Fantasy XV. The developers weren't happy with the game, and that's why Kingdom Hearts 3 was rebuilt using Unreal Engine. There are plenty of videos out there showing the differences between Luminous and Unreal Engine. The second reason is acquiring the rights of characters owned by Disney and Pixar. According to Tetsuya Nomura, unlike the previous game, this one uses worlds like Tangled, Frozen, and Big Hero 6, whose teams are still active, so they have to get the green light from them. I remember reading how Elsa took them the longest because the studio was nitpicking details. In fact, SquareEnix used character models given by their respective studios. Other than those two main reasons, please spare a moment to look upon the graphics. They're gorgeous. The grass, the water, the characters, the reflection in the mirrors and everything. It's just fantastic. It's no surprise that the game won the award for excellent animation in 2020's SXSW Game Awards. The game has a lot of work in it. Details like getting wet, burn, stunned, others, and even the CGI cutscenes. It's just amazing. 2. The game doesn't have as many worlds as Kingdom Hearts 2 or any other old game. This is technically true, but not really. Let's take the four main titles. Kingdom Hearts 1 had 13 worlds, Kingdom Hearts 2 had 15, and both Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance had 12 worlds. Kingdom Hearts 3 has 12 worlds as well. I'm including the two minigame worlds. If Atlantica and Mirage Arena are considered worlds in their own games, so does the World That Never Was and Alscala. I will not count Radiant Gardens data battles, but if we did, it's gonna be 13. Technically we can't because we're still working in the room. What the previous titles nailed was the way that they made you revisit those worlds twice. I believe this is why people think that Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep had more worlds than 3. Since we're in the topic of worlds, people don't consider the difference in the sizes of the worlds. For example, the best way to compare them is to consider the difference of size between them. The best example would be the Olympus Colosseum. In Kingdom Hearts 2, there's a small sandbox where you're in a straight line, then fade to black and open another small window. Kingdom Hearts 3 on the other side, his world is massive. Pretty sure the Olympus Heaven alone has the size of Kingdom Hearts 2 one. Then add Thebes, Gardens, Olympus Mountain, and the others, I'm pretty sure it's way bigger. It's important to note how enormous every world feels. Again, worlds like Nightmare Before Christmas were really smart, effective, memorable, but short. I'm not hating on past games, I'm just using them to make a safe argument. Last but not least, let's not forget about the cities having no NPCs, because with Kingdom Hearts 3, NPCs bring the game to life. Also, I'm not including worlds that appear in cutscenes or only for a small battle event, like Destiny Island, Erika's Castle, Janset's Tower, Realm of Darkness, and others. The game has long cutscenes. Yes, this is a fair argument. The game does use a lot of cutscenes. However, this should be no stranger to you. If you're playing a SquareEnix game, this should be expected looking at how Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games are made. but for the sake of argument, let's compare the two games. There are these videos on YouTube called the game title the movie, where people place the cutscenes of the game in order to look like a movie. Kingdom Hearts 2 has a length of 13 hours and 15 minutes length, and I believe this is without the open dialogue windows. Kingdom Hearts 3, including the Remind DLC, has a total of length of 13 hours and 30 minutes. I believe people have this misconception because the game makes these transactions of animation turning into gameplay. These transactions represent the pausing for dialogue bubbles used in previous games. The game has no drive forms. Drive was a mechanism that was amazing and fun to use in Kingdom Hearts 2. It allowed you to absorb one or both party members and transfer into one of these forms: Valor, Wisdom, Limit, Master, Final, and Anti. These forms were used to help you fight a boss faster, they unlocked mobility skills, and they allowed you to use two blades, and it looked cool. Although true, it's technically wrong. Kingdom Hearts 3 introduced the Keyblade transformation that represents the drives. For example, Wisdom Drive allowed you to skate and shoot like a gun. In Kingdom Hearts 3, the blades Shooting Star and Honey Spoon transform into two guns and they slide. Anti-Drive represents Kingdom Hearts 3 Rage form, and Limit Drive is similar to the second form, and Sonic Rave is similar to the Deputy's ability. Valor, Master, and Final form had you wield a second Keyblade, and this was added with the free DLC that came to Kingdom Hearts 3. However, no one mentions how we have the yo-yos, the magic staff, the hammer, the spear, the claws, the shields, and other weapons that surely make up for the lack of drives. Sora is overpowered, magic is useless, the RPG elements are bad, and the critical difficulty is too hard. This comment, I will address it as one. First things first, you keep dying on critical is not something you should be complaining about. If you keep on dying, how about you change the difficulty? Different people share different experience in difficulty. Either get good or take an easier difficulty. Phil not talking. Out of all 40 hours of the game, Phil appears for less than 20 seconds. He didn't have a voice because the Japanese voice actor of Phil died before voicing the character, so in respect to him, Phil didn't say anything. It's something Japan does out of pure respect. I can't see why this was a huge or even a reason to sin the game. Magic is not useful? I'm pretty sure magic here is more effective than it has ever been. Not to mention, you can cast magic while still walking. And not only that, elements play a huge role. Water enemies use thunder or blizzard. Fire enemies use water. For example, in Arendelle Entangled, fire is the most effective spell, so I don't know where you're getting that. Last but not least, you talk about the RPG elements. Past titles have you swap most Keyblades for ones and with small differences. You go to a new world, you get a new blade, swap it to that. Now you can power up your favorite Keyblade, so you can choose that in your adventure. You can also eat meals that boost your attributes. As for skills, keep in mind this isn't Sora's first journey. He should feel stronger than before. I remember in old games wasting points for blocking or dodging, something that Kingdom Hearts 3 thankfully has seen from the beginning. No Final Fantasy characters and no fighting Disney villains. Yes, unfortunately, a huge miss was the lack of Final Fantasy characters. With the exception of the DLC, Kingdom Hearts 3 kept teasing Final Fantasy characters, but no interaction other than the Moogle. We see Cloud and Aaron as statues, Cac Noir and other figurines Disindia in the Toy Story world. The Remind DLC added Yozora and the Radiant Gardens gang, but they were missed from the original game. Lack of Disney villains is also sort of correct. In Kingdom Hearts 3, you fight only the Titans and an evil Baymax and Davy Jones in the Caribbean. I could mention Mother Magga of Tangled, but she is in the form of a Heartless. It would have been better if she turned Heartless in her second phase. Lack of minigames. This made me laugh. Clearly we played different games. Kingdom Hearts 3 is full of minigames. First things first, Winnie the Pooh has 3 different games, but let's say it's the same game with different assists. We have the Tangled Festival Dance, Toy Story Venom Rex game, 7 minigames in the form of the plant monsters, the Photo Minigame, Frozen Slide Game, San Francisco's Flash Tracer, Ratatouille's Cuisine, The World That Never Was, Catch the Soras, and finally all 21 minigames that your phone has. I would argue and add the Pirates' free ship roaming and space game exploration as minigames of their own. By the way, as for the comment with the ship, once you travel to a place, you can easily fast travel, so you're not forced to use the ship all the time. Just saying. The design of some words are lazy. I will briefly address this cause it's dumb. Arguments like Arendelle is white, Corona is green, and Caribbean is blue are ridiculous. Like, Arendelle takes place on a snow castle and a snow mountain, so white, light blue, and grey will be the main colors. Kingdom of Corona is in a forest, so trees, flowers, and water should be the main thing, and the Caribbean is sea with islands. Water is the main go-to color. Last but certainly not least, the worlds for the story are bad and the story itself is bad. I highly disagree. For a newcomer who has no knowledge of the lore is understandable, but for those who know the story and actually pay attention to the dialogue, no. Keep in mind this game meant to be the end game for a long game with a deep story. Olympus is where Dream Drop Distance left us, visiting Hercules to help us awaken our power so that the 7 lights can fight the 13 darknesses. Kingdom of Corona act as a build-up. In past titles, the enemy wanted to capture the 7 princesses of light for their goal to open the Hollow Bastion. So in Kingdom Hearts 3, the Organization 13 is preparing their backup plan in case the player is not capable to gather their 7 Guardians of Light. In terms of story, it makes perfect sense and has Rapunzel act as one of the new lights. With the same mind, Anna and Elsa from Arendelle are more princesses. San Francisco, Pirates of Caribbean, Monstropolis, and Toy Story have the same mindset. The Organization 13 are nobodies, people who feel no emotion. The 4 worlds mentioned before have a common theme, a weird heart. For example, in Toy Box, it's a world where humans and toys both have hearts. A toy shouldn't be able to feel, and here we are. In Caribbean, Davy Jones is capable of having his heart outside of his body, locked in a box, and still lives. In San Francisco, Hero was able to program a heart in the form of a USB. And last but not least, Monstropolis is using fear and laughter as an energy source. These are something that the organization is interested in, and that's why you are visiting these worlds. It makes perfect sense. Before I end the video, I would also like to address the elephant in the room. I was not avoiding to talk about Disney attractions and theme attacks. Obviously, I agree. Disney attractions are too OP and occur very often. These attractions attack multiple mobs and give you invisible frame, and they do massive damage. They look cool, but they take away the challenge of the game. They were given to us from the get-go and are 100% random. I personally don't like them. I tried not to use them as much, by not pressing the triangle or by maneuvering with my L2. But yeah, unfortunately they're there. The only way you can avoid them is by not pressing them or by playing on a higher difficulty where they're not as often. Anyway, this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and most of all, I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell me how you feel or felt about Kingdom Hearts 3 in the comments below. Take care, guys.